We are live at the Eagle River Town Hall for the Chugiak High School with Senator Cathy Tilton, Representative Merrick, Senator Lora Reinbold, Representative Tilton, and Sharon Jackson was also supposed to be here today. I don't see her yet at this point in time. Looks like they're getting ready to get started right now. Thank you. Don't forget to share.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started today. So welcome to the Chugiak Eagle River Delegation Town Hall. We appreciate everybody being here today. We're going to be running a little bit of a tight ship because we found out we absolutely have to be out of here at 2 p.m. So we're going to go ahead and start with 1 minute openings, and we are Representative Merrick to Senator Hughes, and then Representative Tilton, and then myself. So Representative Merrick.
Senator Reinbold, good morning, folks. It's wonderful to be back in the district and here with you guys, so I appreciate all the time to come see us this afternoon. This session has been an absolute whirlwind. We hit the ground running this time, and just yesterday, the House Finance Committee, of which I'm a member and Representative Tilton is as well, we passed the operating budget out of committee, and it is scheduled to be on the floor Monday, so keep an eye out for that. And now we'll be focusing on legislation. My first term has been absolutely fascinating. I've been able to foster really good relationships throughout the Capitol building, and really that's what this job is about nurturing relationships, working with people, building trust with each other and finding creative ways to move laws forward. So I just appreciate the support I've got from you guys, and I'm really proud to represent Eagle River.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shelley Hughes, Senate District F. That is where find folks, friends, family, and farmers. And I'm happy to be with you, and I want to thank Senator Reinbold for coordinating this. And I want to mention that we're also having a Chugiak Eagle River Delegation Town Hall on March 21st over at the Chugiak Senior Center, and we're hoping perhaps Representative Sharon Jackson will be able to join us also. She is with her mother, who is in failing health in the ICU. So I have, as you know, I was Judiciary, you maybe knew, Judiciary Chair and Transportation Chair last year, but because of circumstances related to the binding rule, I was marginalized. But you know what? I'm working twice as hard, my staff is working twice as hard, and we are not failing in our representation of you. I just want you to know that. And the last year, it was all about repealing SB 91, which we successfully did with Senator Reinbold help and some others. This year, I'm focusing on getting some important pieces of legislation through. One of the ones, when I mentioned farmers, is hemp. The hemp program will go away in October if we don't get a bill passed that I have. I also have a constitutional amendment that's related to abortion that we can discuss at any point if you'd like, but it really would just get us on par with other states, red states and blue states as well. So a lot of other things. We look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for being here. I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm going to be in and out of talking, but I do want to thank Senator Reinbold for putting this together and all of you for coming out on a Saturday afternoon to share some time with us and ask some questions. I sit on the Finance Committee. I am the ranking member in our caucus on the Finance Committee. I have worked with 4 wonderful people. Well, I shouldn't call myself wonderful, I'm one of them. Sorry, I'm making you a senator now. See, cold, messed up your brain. With Representative Reinbold, Representative Carpenter, and Representative Sullivan Leonard. We did hit the ground running. It is a goal to get done in the 90 days, but I do believe it'll probably be about 118 days to get out of session this year. We pushed working hard on the supplemental budget, the governor's amended budget items, and then the budget, which, as Representative Merrick said, will be on the floor on Monday. You'll be looking for some amendments that will be coming forward on that. There are some things that are not in the budget that you will see some amendments that will probably take care of that. We can talk deeper about the budget and what that looks like as we go through the day. If you like, I can give you lots of details. So seeing where they're going to push through probably every piece of finance that is sitting in the finance committee, waiting to be heard. So there'll be lots of things coming to the floor. So you might want to keep a good watch on that. And then we'll also have the opportunity to work on the capital budget. Anyway, again, thanks for being here.
Good afternoon. I am pleased to be here, and as everybody knows, I think in here I served in the House for 6 years. I now serve in the Senate, and I worked with Senator Hughes. She was the Judiciary Chair, and I was the Vice Chair to help get SB 91 repealed. It was a 3-year effort. It was a tough effort, but I am thrilled to report back to you that House Bill 49 passed with immense effort, and our streets are safer. Now we're looking into the Department of Law and trying to figure out why there's so many offenses with so few convictions. So we're taking it a step further. I do serve on 4 subcommittees of finance in the Senate. One of them is Department of Law, and we are drilling down really hard in the numbers and having really tough hearings in regards to that. In addition, because public safety is government's most important mandate, I am on the subcommittee of Department of Public Safety. In addition, the largest budget that we have is Health and Social Services, and so I am on that. We have a lot of meetings. Last year we had 14 meetings at 8 a.m. To drill down into that budget, and you know that one has a lot of work. We have 250,000 Alaskans now on Medicaid, and I personally find that unacceptable. I had a bill to try to slow down or stop the Medicaid expansion, and I could literally speak for half an hour on how disappointed I am with how big that budget is. In regards to what I am up to now, I still do serve on Judiciary, sadly because Senator Hughes, Senator Shower, and I decided to uphold the PFD statute. We refused to be lawbreakers. We're lawmakers, and we wanted to uphold the PFD statute. We said we would work with everybody to change that statute, but we would not be a lawbreaker. And so these two chose to not vote, but it was registered as a no vote. I voted no, and the bottom line is we refused to break the law on the permanent fund dividend statute, and therefore there was a horrible day, January 21st, 2020, where they basically tried to silence the voice of 3 important senator voices from Chugiak, Eagle River, and the Matsu area. So we're fighting back really hard. They wouldn't let us hire our staff. They stripped us of our chairmanship. I got stripped of the vice chairmanship under Shelley with Judiciary. I got stripped of the Labor and Commerce chair, and I got removed from resources, which was very disappointing. However, I still do serve on Judiciary and JAS and 4 subcommittees, and we can attend any meeting. But the one thing I can tell you is that we have integrity. We have our integrity. We've kept our commitments and our promises to the people. We still have our powerful voice on the Senate floor and our votes on the Senate floor. And we can even attend any executive session. And we literally are working in overtime and overgear to represent you. And we have excellent staff. I have Kelly. She just left. She had another commitment. But let me tell you, Kelly Toth works double and triple time for you. She is a fantastic staffer, as is Sharon Newsom. They're often there from 6 in the morning till 8 p.m. So we got fantastic staff working overtime. We have a really busy agenda right now, so I'm going to get right into the agenda. And the very first thing we have is we are so absolutely thrilled to have Dr. Zink. She's the Chief Medical Officer for Alaska. She's going to talk for 5 minutes in regards to the coronavirus. She's got a big meeting in about 30 minutes, so she's going to come up, and we're really thrilled to have you. So Dr. Zink, if you could please just come up. It's a real privilege to have you.
Thanks, everyone. I don't know if I can really talk Corona for 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to consolidate it really closely. I really appreciate Senator all your guys' time and your time here today. You've all been watching the news and seeing what's happening. This novel coronavirus does continue to spread, and we've been now seeing what we call community transmission in the United States. So this is a tipping point that we've been waiting for, that we've been preparing for, and we've been planning for. We stood up our State Emergency Operations Center over a month ago now, and we continue to look at plans and responses, but things I think are going to change here shortly as this virus continues to spread. So I appreciate everyone being here and taking this seriously. We know that this virus is new, so people don't have immunity to it. We know that elderly are more affected than children. And we also know that the mortality rate of people who die from this is quite a bit higher than the seasonal flu. So if it does come and become widespread, that is a massive concern. That's part of the reason we're taking all the aggressive steps that we're doing. I would highly encourage everyone to check out the DHSS website on the coronavirus. I left out a whole bunch of flyers over there about what people can check out the CDC website on a regular basis. At the bottom section, there's a what's new that happens every single day and that gets updated on a very regular basis. 3 months ago, we did not know this virus existed. Now we know a lot more about it, and we continue to work really closely with our state, tribal, local partners to be able to respond. This area is under the Muni Health System, and the Muni Health Department has been highly engaged and very actively involved with us from the very beginning. We're also working closely with the school district. We're working with every single department. We had a big commissioners meeting yesterday. I have a meeting with the governor here shortly. And we've been kind of working across all the lines to try to make sure that we're as prepared as possible. A couple just asks from you all, besides staying as informed as possible, is making sure that you're prepared. Having 2 weeks to a month's worth of medical supplies at home. So if you take blood pressure medications, if you take insulin, things like that, you've got those at home. As Alaskans, we know that we need to be prepared for an earthquake or for other changes, and so making sure that you have like food, hand sanitizer, things like that at home. Hand washing is incredibly important. It's hard to emphasize that enough, but please stop touching your face. Please wash your hands as often as possible. Good alcohol sanitizer that's greater than 60%. My hands just came down right there. It's hard. I'm a face toucher, so it's a hard one. Use alcohol hand sanitizer that's greater than 60%. And good cleaning solutions that you can buy at the grocery store, such as Clorox wipes, things like that, or good disinfectants that you can use for doorknobs and handles and can clean your house. So making sure that your house stays clean, those are all good things to think about. If you do get sick, it's important to stay home. So cover your mouth and nose with your arm or a tissue, not your hand, and go shake someone else's hand. If you do have cough, cold, runny nose, things like that, we ask that you call either your primary care provider and or the state EPI line prior to going in, or the nurse call line. So Providence Hospital has a nurse call line. There's Teledoc, which some of the insurance companies use. Different insurance companies have a nurse call line. Call them before you go in so that they can help triage and figure out what's the best place for you to go. We may be seeing a rapid change in the way that we direct people, so that's why we really like to stay in touch. We may be having areas where we say this is where we want people to go for respiratory symptoms. We're looking at actually going to people's homes to do testing rather than having them come to healthcare providers or emergency departments. We're exploring all sorts of different options to make sure that we're thinking about our most vulnerable patients, we're thinking about rural and urban areas, and making sure that people are going to be able to be tested and prepared. We are now able to test for the coronavirus here in the state of Alaska. And so that test is up and running and has been confirmed with our laboratory. And so we're working closely with our healthcare teams to figure out who needs to be tested. We have a 24-hour state epidemiology lab, and they are answering calls from healthcare providers around the clock if they have a case of concern, so that we can kind of coordinate testing and next steps of treatment. The other things that we ask you to do is to think about what would happen if we had a significant outbreak. So what we've seen in numerous countries is there's been massive changes to travel restrictions. So thinking closely about your travel and looking at what's happened. It's not just about potentially getting the virus, but it's been being asked to be quarantined in a location for 2 weeks to a month. So if you have plans to travel out of the country, we have no control over some other countries' rules about what would happen if you're getting in or out. So take that into consideration as you're making travel. We're also seeing, as I mentioned, this kind of community spread within the United States, and how we respond to that will be based on the situation at hand. There's a chance that we may ask for community gatherings to be suspended. We may ask for school to be suspended as we look for the health and safety and well-being of others. So that's the other thing I just am trying to emphasize to communities, is to think about what would happen if schools got closed, or your work asked you to be able to work from home, and what that would look like for you and your family. I also ask that you look out for each other. So thinking about your neighbors, thinking about your loved ones, thinking those are the most vulnerable in our society. We are a community, we take care of each other. So making sure that they have what they need, and you're making sure you're sharing that information. So we're trying to get this information out in every way possible. I appreciate the time here. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I'm always happy to try to get out. I really appreciate a line the CDC has been using recently about radical transparency. I really believe the more that we can get timely, accurate information out, the better off we all are, because this is not any one of us who's going to help create a solution to this problem. It's going to take all of us. And the really important work that public health does is not going to be able to stop this virus, but if we can slow it down as much as possible, it gives us time to not overwhelm our healthcare structure. It gives us time to figure out if antivirals work. It gives us time for immunization. And then the last thing I'd say is it's not too late to get flu shot. We still are seeing really high cases of flu, particularly in the lower 48, and we're worried about this hitting at the same time as a second wave of influenza. You never want to fight a war or two wars at once, and so if we're fighting RSV, influenza, and the coronavirus at once, that's going to overwhelm the system much more than anyone. The flu vaccine is a good crossover this year. It's a good match. We lose people every year. We've already lost people in Alaska this year from the flu, and the flu vaccine is a good way to prevent it. So with that, I'll turn it back over, and happy to see you. Okay, 2 quick questions. Go for it. Yeah, right there.
Hey, Doc, are you guys talking to the local hotels about disinfecting. And we still have maybe 200 cargo pilots a week coming through Anchorage. In Shanghai and Hong Kong, the hotels we stay in, they disinfect the entire hotel once an hour. They wipe down the elevator buttons, all the horizontal surfaces. They got the alcohol sprayers. What I've seen down here, they're doing nothing. They don't even know that their guests might have come from China, like some of the major hotels.
So there's kind of two parts of that question, so it's a great question. One is just the cargo crew specifically. So we've been working closely with the FAA, we've been having meetings with the cargo crew companies. We've been talking about how to minimize kind of cargo crew moving and transporting. They're actually considered slightly lower risk than areas we're seeing rapid community transmission. We're actually moving away from a phase of thinking about just China. We're really seeing a decrease in China, and so there's a real change in our messaging. We're now seeing a significant spread in Europe, particularly in Italy, and we're also seeing a significant spread in the Middle East. South Korea, Japan has just canceled all of its schools. And so we have to change our position from just China to much more worldwide as of now. There is good CDC information about disinfectants. We have been talking to hospitals. Whoa, there we go. We've been talking to hotels. We've been trying to get out that information. It's important to remember that what you see on the media is oftentimes the most glamorous clip of something else like that. With the repatriation effort, we got a lot of criticism that we weren't full hazmat suits. There were people in hazmat suits who were who were going to be more susceptible. So healthcare workers are at really high risk. If they're doing a nasal swab, if they're intubating for testing, that's a higher risk, and they need more protection than you or I need to hear, or if you're asking someone some health questions. And so what you're seeing in the media compared to testing, we just need to make sure that we're having timely, accurate information, but we are working on that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not the people you know about. I mean, that you can handle with the suits and quarantine them while you disinfect them. It's the people you don't know about that came from Incheon or Hong Kong or Shanghai. That's the hotels telling you that's what they're doing in China. They are absolutely spraying down almost the entire hotel.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that question. I think that it is kind of this risk-benefit, this layered approach, and we're really making sure that we have a layered approach moving forward. Okay,
Okay, I got both here.
just really quick.
Just a quick question on do you know the price of getting the testing done?
The price of getting the testing done, it's done at the state lab currently, and we do not charge for that currently. Yes.
Dave Donley, Anchorage School Board.
Yep.
In our emergency planning meeting yesterday,
Yep.
it was mentioned that children may not show symptoms as rapidly as adults.
Yep.
And I was interested in following up on that, but we were running out of time. I wanted to know what kind of strategies school districts should deploy because of the difference of the impacts on the virus from our kids versus adults and it not showing up as quickly.
Yeah, so great question. We're really struggling with that information right now. We're getting some new information, even since I was on that call with you guys, I think it was yesterday. It's been a long week, it's a long month. That the data coming out of China is there's probably less asymptomatic spread amongst children than we initially thought. So it's a new WHO paper that came out last night. So we're trying to really stay up on that information. It's going to be a work in progress. You're right, children are not getting sick, children are not getting as ill. What this means for schools, it's going to congregate setting, and so we don't want kids to have really asymptomatic spread and then take it home to their grandma or grandpa and then them get sick. So we're thinking about the whole community. We've been working incredibly closely with Dee. We actually met with all the superintendents Thursday to specifically kind of talk about this, to talk about virus and potentially respond. And we're just going to have to work really closely with the schools as this changes when we need to continue to respond. There's a big unknown, specifically about the kid situation. I do know that China set up homeschooling for 200 million children in a short period of time, and as we're seeing, many countries are now essentially suspending school as a containment effort.
Sorry. I could stay back there for like a few extra minutes if someone wants to step over, but I don't want to keep your points. Thank you.
Okay, as a prior dental hygienist, one thing that I know that we can do to defend ourselves in between patients, we use Lysol. And so I know personally got some Lysol wipes. It's our best defense that I know of. I'm not currently, I have my license, but I'm not currently out there to see. But we need to protect ourselves and not rely on other people. And that's the simplest, cheapest way to do it. Is getting, I know there's Clorox wipes, but we specifically focused on Lysol because it's more of a broad spectrum antibacterial.
So can you hear me? Okay, so basically what I want to tell you is kind of what the plan is for today. We're going to call on everybody. You've got 2 minutes, and we would address us and not the audience. And if you can keep it focused on state business, as you know, there's the school board, the municipality, the federal government, international. If there are state issues, things that we can take care of, because the bottom line is what legislators typically do is we pass budgets, we pass legislation, and then we try to get our constituents in touch with the key people if they're having issues, and particularly on a state issue. So if you could focus it towards us, we're only going to be calling on those people who said yes, that they would like to speak today. And then we will take a quick, it's not really a break, but we're going to be at 1 o'clock to 1:15. We have 3 5-minute speakers of things, the most common calls that we get into our office. And they're typically education related. So we have Tom Rock, the Chief Operating Officer, Support Service with the Anchorage School District, to talk updates in regards to the schools. And we're going to highlight a disaster plan as well there. Jim Amundsen, he's the Chief Highway Design for the Central Region. I think we have more calls on roads, if there's a backlog or what's going on with the bridges. So that's something that the state works on. And then, as we talked about the last town hall, we're working on a disaster plan for wildfires, for the coronavirus, if there's another earthquake, any type of disasters that might hit our way. And so this month we will be having Cynthia, and I apologize if I'm not saying your name right, Cieslak, and that she's with Express Care at Providence. And next month we will have Alaska Regional here at the next town hall. But we've been trying to get an ER here for so many years, I can't even count them anymore. And it's something that's very important for a community as large as ours is. So with that, I'm going to start calling on names. And the first person I'm just going to recognize, Sharon Amundsen. I just want to say thank you. I know your husband is here to speak, but wanted to say thank you. I know you're from Anchorage, so we're going to show preference towards the Chugiak Eagle River people first. But really wanted to say thank you for coming today. We know this is your day off, and we just want to say thank you for being here. The first person we have, and Tiffany, I'll be having the microphone, correct? So if you could raise your hand as soon as I call your name so we can get the microphone to you right away. And then Elaine Pfeffer, if you could please just go ahead and let us know your concerns.
Hello, and I support government The PFD is an easy target, but if you reduce that or take it away, it does hurt the poor disproportionately. The next thing that seems to be an issue is just healthcare in general. The cost of healthcare keeps going up. You know, the teachers, the unions, the people that work for the state, their healthcare costs just keeps skyrocketing. And then, the Medicaid expansion, which was presented to us as being free money from the feds. Well, now the feds have decreased their share, which we knew would happen. And I'm told that there's 1 in 5 Alaskans on Medicaid. 1 in 3. I just don't understand that. That's all. Thank you.
Ken Kramer, just raise your hand.
I don't need a mic, believe me. Ladies, I appreciate everything you're doing there. As I mentioned to you, I know you guys got, like the word, shafted by gang. Please stay strong. I heard in finance within the Senate there was talk about a spending cap. And I don't know if there's still talk about it. Fight tooth and nail. That's all I can say. Fight tooth and nail. It's going to be tough because, like you said, Medicaid going up about 4.6, 4.9 over the next several years. There's no way we can keep about the CPI. I don't know what the hell you guys are gonna do, but please stay strong. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate the words of encouragement, because we don't get that much down in Juneau. It's the conservative voice often is not welcome there, no matter where you turn. So it's really appreciated. So thank you everybody for the kind words.
Chris and Sherry Eichenlaw.
Hi. Hey, I'd like to think.
Just hold it tight to your mouth.
You can talk loud.
Anyway. I want to piggyback what he's talking about, with you guys kind of getting, it appears that you got shafted, but, look at the long game, you're going to last. These people that are caving into special interests, they have a hard time finding voters just in that general area. When you represent all Alaskans like you're doing, then you get reelected because people feel like they can trust you. But when you start making backroom deals and flushing our PFD away and throwing it, here's the way I kind of equate the PFD. This SB 26 kind of threw, now that it's not automatically calculated. I don't even know what formula you guys are using. Can anybody tell me what formula they're using to pay the PFD? Well, that's why the people that came up with this put it in statute, because they knew that we'd be looking at a free-for-all. It's kind of like buying 2 pizzas, and you got a room full of fatties. And you throw it on the table and say, have at it. And you guys stand back and watch. Because that's what you're doing when you see these testimonies. Everybody's trying to get their slices of pie. They're in there going, hey, I want mine, I don't care about yours. I would almost tell you, when you hear these testimonies, ask them, who would you take the money away from to give it to you? Who do you want us to take it from? But this SB 26 kind of put us all against each other, divided everybody. So now everybody's like a free-for-all, like a room full of fatties trying to get pizza. That's why I just visualize it in my head, because I'm sitting there watching all these testimonies, and all I can tell you is, I know you guys are doing the right thing, but I wish we'd go back to statute, so we take, SB 26, if you could just repeal it, it would kind of take all the confusion away. There's no confusion, you got a formula. You want to change the formula? Come up with a new formula, because SB 26 is very incoherent. I mean, y'all know that. I mean, and the people didn't want to pass in the past. And then the people that passed it, they ended up getting kicked out. You guys are still standing, and all I can tell you is I appreciate that. And, I got 2 more things. Well, the Medicaid expansion, that was done without our consent as well. That was unilaterally done by Governor Walker, and I wish there was some way, you guys get some lawyers together, and there's probably some way you could figure out to undo it. I don't know. But that's almost a full dividend right there. That we're paying out, the state's paying out a full dividend for every person to keep this program alive, that he unilaterally, without your consent, without our consent, put us on the jingle for it. Unless I'm full of canal water, let me know. And the other thing was this binding caucus thing. I mean, you guys just, you're gonna be left standing, but it is very hurtful that you can't be on these committees and make our voice heard. I mean, I know you guys are doing the best you can, but it's kind of a game, and I don't like it. I think it should be equal representation. We're getting decent representation on the House side. I mean, it's hard, like the whole valley kind of got washed out. All the conservative voices were like, hey, we're going to take this speed bump out so we can go full steam ahead. And I mean, I'm just sitting back watching, and I watched the House Finance Committee, and it's almost 7-4. I mean, these committees are stacked, so they can get their stuff through and then get it on the floor and vote for it. And if you're on a binding caucus, you're going to vote for it. So you guys just hang in there on that, and that was pretty much all I had. You got anything?
That's me, Elliot.
I like this. As a mom of driving teenagers and a small business owner, I lived on KJB, but I am within the district of Cathy, street. And most of you probably have teenagers, so you know what that feels like on a regular basis. But we live on the second deadliest road in our state, and kids are going down it all the time. And these are military kids. Their dad's in the military. They fought hard for our country. The least we can do is provide for them a good road to be able to drive down. And a friend of mine was in a car accident recently. Her kids are military kids. Her husband was deployed, and she doesn't have a good road to drive on. That is terrible. We should never have military families be driving down the road and it not be safe. Their husbands fight hard for our
Thank you. No, I'm just gonna say that I just want to let you know, Leah, thank you for talking about how we don't normally go back and forth during the town hall, but I do want to let you know that there are dollars that was put forward for KTB Road that have been moved out of the specific area. They were added to the summer committee, and which was already federally funded. And we were able to get that scope change and move that to mile 1.5 to mile 7 for maintenance. It was in the supplemental budget, which has passed through the House. So now if it goes through the Senate, then there will be those dollars, $2 million available to do maintenance on KGB Road.
This summer?
Yes, and the reason it's in the supplemental is because it was considered something that needed to be fast-tracked, which means that there's something that the dollars needed to be able to be appropriated just as soon as that bill passes through the Senate and goes to the governor, that those dollars would be available in the spring to start doing maintenance on KGB.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My wonderful staff, Stoltze here, she's going to be doing the timing. She will hold up a yellow card at 30 seconds, and then the red card is the 2-minute timer. Thank you. Next we have Matthew Hickey.
I got a lot of boys. Okay, I don't need that. So, I just want to talk a little bit about the 3 bills you're putting in the heartbeat bills. And I know you said the HB 178 was voted down, which is going to make a person from the state of Alaska. And I know there's a lot of chaotic going in the House, and people aren't getting along, and everything was caught off guard, and I understand all that. I just want to try to educate a little bit. My wife and I have been in with her for about 30 years. We've been very active in the anti-abortion movement for about 30 years. And we take this pretty serious. And so I follow really well on when it comes to all the states. There's been dozens and dozens of heartbeat bills. I just want everybody to be aware of the fact that every time a heartbeat bill comes out, it passes the upper house, lower house, executive, but it always fails at federal court and state court, okay? In the meantime, Planned Parenthood raises approximately $50 to $100 million every single time a heartbeat bill comes out. So it just makes them stronger, is all it does. It's failed. You know, the subject of insanity is when you try doing something 3 times and you try to expect a different outcome, that's insanity. So I really would love to see, you guys work really hard. I just want to see the 178 come back, bring it to the committees. I understand there's things in it that needs to change. There's some things in it I don't like. But please bring it back. Let's save these babies. These children are dying. You're going to have to decide who's more important. Is the mother more important? Is the baby more important? Are they equal? Is this going to be an anti-abortion movement, or are we going to be a pro-life movement? I'm not saying pro-life anymore. It's been hijacked. So this is an anti-abortion movement, what we need to do here. So what I'm asking is please bring back 178, HB 178, because this is so critical to save these children that I just don't understand why it's just so critical. You know, this is the only thing that's going to work in this country is ingenious, this HB 178, because if you make the baby a person, which is actually a human being, that changes everything. So If anybody has any questions, if I'm allowed to take questions, I'm ready. Fire away. Absolutely.
This is it might cooperate. HB 178 is a bill that has not received any hearings. I am very concerned about babies unborn. I want abortion to be abolished. I think that one day as Americans, we will look back on abortion like we look at slavery, a barbaric act that has no place in civil society. The problem with HB 178 right now is that it would get immediately struck down. And constitutional amendment that would take care of that. That would take care of that so that it wouldn't get struck down. So potentially, if such a bill were passed, it could go up to the U.S. Supreme Court based off against Roe versus Wade. But what it would actually do for our state is it would allow us to be on par with other states. So we have blue states. We have what I call gray states, states that are evenly balanced and they go back between left and right, that are able to save babies that we can't even save. There are blue states and gray states that require parental consent or parental notification, in fact 37. There are blue and gray states that limit late-term abortions, that do not allow partial birth abortions. There are a wide spectrum, including the heart bills. There were 3 gray states that passed heart bill bills. I actually have a list of what we passed, and you'd be welcome to look at it, that basically shows what's happening in our courts because of how our Constitution has been interpreted. Our Constitution has been interpreted by an amendment we added in 1970, I think it was 1970, right to privacy. You know why we added that right to privacy amendment? It was because the Department of Public Safety was developing a database, a criminal history database, and it was the dawn of the computer age, and people were concerned about this big brother, what we call data mining now. That was why the legislature put through a resolution to amend our Constitution, right to privacy, and that's why the people of Alaska on the ballot wanted it in the Constitution. They didn't want their personal information being out there. That's why, but the courts have used it for another reason. So what we wanted, the amendment does not set any policy. It does not abolish abortion because we have the federal parameters we have right now. But it says in regard to abortion that the right to privacy, Article 1, cannot be used. Therefore, if we decide as a legislative body or the people of Alaska through voter initiative decide that we want parents to be notified,
question, just real quick question. On, when you're bringing the bills, my understanding, I'm not into politics, I'm not a politician or whatever, but when you bring a bill out of Health and Social Services, doesn't that go to a committee and you can change the bill? Isn't that what that's for? Have these committees to change the bill? I don't understand, because when it comes out of Health and Social Services, it's not law, right? Just because you vote yes, is it?
No, it goes through a committee.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is, it could have came out, you guys could have changed that bill. So, I believe that you're totally anti-abortion. I can see it in your eyes and your heart, okay? But there's a point in time when this becomes insanity of trying to do this heartbeat bill. They've done it over and over and over again. All Planned Parenthood does is get stronger financially. It's frustrating. I've seen it over the years. And, bring that bill back and change it, is all I'm asking. I'm not saying, there's some things I don't agree with either on it, but change it, that's all I'm saying.
And thank you, Matt. And I would note that a hearing request was never submitted for that bill, so that's the first step in the process of having.
I know, that's the politics that you're all playing with each other. David Eastman, I got it. You guys don't get along with him. I don't even know the guy, right? But I know, but the games that are being played is what I'm getting at. It's like freaking high school up there sometimes. And you guys are working really hard, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to certain things, I feel like I'm watching high school kids. And I tell you, if I did that in my businesses that I have, I'd be out of business. And it's frustrating, so thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Tom Bozes?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Charles,
Yeah, a couple things. One of them, I'd really like to speak about HB 62. And firstly, I want to thank you all for being conservative. That's representing our district as well. But I want to speak about HR 32. It is a encouragement on due process, and I want to stand strong against encouragement of due process. Nobody can take anything away from anybody without a due process of law. People need to be able to speak against confiscating guns in this specific instance, but any other discouragement of due process is law. The other thing, consistent with that, the process of following the state law about PFD, about everything else we do. You guys can't break the law. Nobody else can break the law. You have to continue not to go along with that. It's really important. We've got laws we need to all follow.
HB 62 is also known as red flag laws.
Right. And I know it's gone down to what needs to go as well. It brings up the old story of once a dam site, always a dam site. Once you think you can put a dam there, somebody's going to try and put a dam there. Don't do it.
Okay, so in regards to that bill, we had House Bill 75 in the House, and it took us 2 years because, as you know, the Democrats and Rhinos paired up, and for the first time in 20 years, the Republicans became the minority because of Republican traitors. I still was able to sit on judiciary. We were able to kill a lot of bills. I believe it was Eisenhower that said it's harder to kill bills than it is to get legislation through. Well, let me tell you, I spent 2 years when we were on the minority killing a lot of bills. We killed House Bill 75. I will tell you in the Senate, I can only speak for the Senate right now, but Senator Hughes and I and Senator McChickey and Senator Coghill, and I don't think that bill has a chance in heck over in the Senate, so I can give you positive information on that. Thank you. Bert Baumhoff. And we're going to remind everybody 2 minutes for questions and 1 minute for answers. We're going to try to abide by our own rules, okay? Okay, so Tiffany wants to talk to us. Okay, so the next one, really special person to me, William Ahrens. So I just want to remind you, oh, it doesn't want to speak. Well, I'm just going to say his son was killed down in Texas as a police officer in a very tragic event. But I just want to say my heart always goes out to you. And just raise your hand so everyone can see who you are. where's Bill Ahrens? Anyway, we love you and thank you. Our heart goes out to you. Do you want to speak? No? Okay. Next, she does not want to speak. Megan Byers says maybe. Megan, you want to speak? Yes or no? No? Okay. All right. Next, we are going to go to Ellie Lammers. Would you like to come up here and speak?
Eli.
Eli, I'm sorry, Eli. Do you want a microphone?
Sure.
Okay, so sometimes this mic works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the columns and where the speakers are. So if you're talking and it's really fuzzy, just move it.
So I'm an 8th grade student at Gurney Middle School, and we are doing a project for Project Citizen, and we are trying to make a 3-digit hotline for human trafficking. And the Project Citizen is a project that goes through the Center of Civic Education, which teaches students the public policy process so that we can become active citizens.
My name is Sam Fox, and we wanted to ask you, well, we were hoping that you would sponsor a bill so that we could get a 3-digit hotline for Alaska. And we were wondering if any of you would like to come into our classroom next week or any time, whenever you guys are free. And we were hoping you would like to come to talk about that topic for us.
Sam and Eli, thank you very much. That is excellent. I had no idea that sex trafficking was so here in the state of Alaska. The governor is going to be here at Chugiak High School on Monday night, and I don't know the time, I apologize, but I'm guessing it's 6 to 8. He has a bill that is dealing with sex trafficking, and it is coming to our committee judiciary. It's definitely a passion. I think all of us have a passion towards that. So just reach out. We'll have our cards here, and if you ever want to email us, you just start out with SEN if they're a senator, and then dot, and then their first name, and then their last name, and then at akledge.gov. And if it's a representative, you go rep dot, their first name, dot, their last name, at akledge.gov. We're all on Facebook. And if you want a shortcut, just alaska.gov, click on the legislature button, and all of us pop up. Okay? So thank you all. I think all of us are interested. Okay? But we are in Juneau during the week, so we might have to call in or do it on a weekend. Okay? Thank you very much. And we're going to go ahead and move on to Stephanie Jeffers.
I'm good.
Okay, you're good. It didn't say yes or no on here, so Lisa Gentleman.
Okay, I want to thank Senator Hughes for her courage in one of the most divisive issues in America right now. And I am pro-life, and for the first time I did public testimony this week, and I wanted to say what I basically testified about was our Declaration of Independence. This is not a constitutional issue. It is not a judge decision. It is from the Declaration of Independence. It is a right to life. We don't have to do anything and to even to submit to the Constitution. This was on July 4th, 1776. Our Declaration says the right to life, and we know liberty and happiness, but we're focusing on life. And so we have the right to this. Our founding fathers also gave us very clear directions. If we have a branch that is not giving us laws that are good for the common good of all, we as a people must rise up and overthrow them. This is nothing for me. Read the Declaration. It's not that long. And we need to overthrow these judges that are not ruling in favor for the good and the wholesomeness of all. If you study what happens after abortions and all that, I have been a single parent even though through marriage. I have been through some challenges. I still continue my education. I refuse to go on welfare. I know the hardships of it, and I'm absolutely pro-life. And we as a people need to figure out how to get rid of and dismiss these judges. I don't have the answers. Maybe the legislators do.
but we have the right to life. So do our unborn little Alaskans and Americans. They cannot speak for themselves. They're defenseless, and we must defend them. Thank you. And thank you very much for your passionate speech. I think we all are right to life up here in Alaska and anti-abortion. And I will tell you, one of my goals as to become a senator, one was to repeal SB 91 because public safety is the #1 mandate of government, period. But another one is to watch our judges. And it starts in the House, it starts in the Senate, and then it goes over to the House. But anyway, I am working with the Department of Law. I'm working with victims. I'm working with a lot of people to analyze our judges. So if anybody out there has a judge that they've had a tough time with, I'd appreciate an email, or any one of us would appreciate an email, because I can tell you I worked on the parental notification. I mean, we were out there working on that so hard for parental rights. And also, we worked, our first bill, Senator Hughes and I, was an anti-abortion bill, and the courts have overthrown it. And I do think that they are out of line, and I do believe there's a right to life, and I also believe in parental rights, strong parental rights. So definitely a very important topic, and yes, Senator Hughes, Senator Merrick, or Representative Merrick, and Tilton, Representative Tilton, sorry. We're not in the House anymore, so we don't see each other that much. But anyway, all of us up here, including Representative Jackson, who's with her mother, and she just texted us, and she's also very passionate about right to life, wanted to speak in regards to this issue. So if we have time at the end, we're going to give her a few minutes to speak. But Representative Jackson is so much right to life, and really is working hard on your behalf. But right now she's with her dear mother on the East Coast. We're going to go on to the next person, which is Creed Campbell.
So I'm also an Anchorage student here at Green Middle School. Like Tim and Eli, I'm doing Project Citizen in my class. We are discussing a different topic on daylight savings. We started the petition 2 days ago. It's already gotten over 150 signatures. We had a small group of our students draft a very well-done bill. And we'd like to ask that you consider sponsoring, coming in and talking. Our teacher can email you a copy of the bill. We would just like your support coming to talking to us about how we could enact this policy. We've done some research, and we just ask for your support, at least helping us understand how to achieve this policy. Thank you.
So I can tell you, I do not like daylight savings time at all. And my predecessor worked, I think, 8 years, and some of the businesses got involved, and the bill did not get traction. But I will tell you, I would love to get rid of daylight saving times. I remember when I grew up here, there was 5 time zones. Now we only have, one, but the bottom line is daylight savings, I think, is draconian, and I'd love to get rid of it. Okay, next person we have Ken McCarty.
I'm off here and hardly hearing some of you sharing, so hopefully you can hear well with this. So I'm Ken McCarty, and I'm with Eagle River, Chugiak, and president of the Birchwood Airport Association. Rebuilding the Lions Park tennis courts, which tonight at Jalapenos is a fundraiser, so you're all welcome to come down. We got silent auction items and stuff like that. I am trustee of the Alaska Mental Health Trust Board and very much involved in mental health as the owner of the Starting Point Counseling Center, which solves mental health issues as well as getting a lot of people off of heroin. And that's what brought me to Eagle River, because of not center of heroin issues, but because of here to great need of the Valley and Anchorage. So a couple things I want to bring up is this. I used to be on the American Red Cross National Disaster Team, and here at the president of the Birchwood Airport Association, and after the earthquake that happened, that the airport was really a potential hub in case both the bridges collapsed. We are willing to have connexes at the airport available for disaster stuff. So I know that Red Dog Mine and a few other places has lots of 40-foot connexes, and to get them there and to be proactive to have some things like that. I'm sure that the chief would agree with that for the fire and all this stuff. Another thing is the emphasis of aviation. The DOT has done a reconstruct, and they have, trying to make it happen, but they have road people running airports. And they tell us that they don't know what they're doing, that they're just road people. So we need to reconstruct the DOT so that we have marine people, DOT running the marine, we have aviation people running the airport, and you all know about what happened at Birchwood just this past year. Another thing, just the aspect of healthcare and providers. We have issues of that, and we really need to address that. And I just talked to Senator Wilson this morning about a bill that was passed and it's supposed to be implemented January 1st of 19, and it's still sitting in the process with regulations, and even hearing today that it could be like now over time in the regulation process, and they have to start from scratch all over again. So we need to do something different where if a bill's passed, it needs to go through, and we can't have bureaucracies that are withholding the process. So thank you.
I think we inadvertently, Terry Cadell.
I'm from the district, but I'm not. I'm a citizen nonetheless. And I graduated. I'm an alumni from Chugiak Elementary, Chugiak High School, and I just wanted to give the preparedness for COVID-19 comes down to us being prepared. And a lot of people I've heard just walking and talking to different folks, like why is the state asking for people to get their influenza flu shots? How is that helping with COVID-19? But if you look at COVID-19, the symptomatic presentation is parallel to that of the flu. So there is a finite number of tests that can go out right now in any state of all 50. So if we can stop the number of people that have to be potentially tested, that would help with focusing on the measures for COVID-19 or the coronavirus. It was named COVID-19 because coronavirus disease in the year 2019. So that's how I came on COVID-19. I was officially 2.5 weeks ago by CDC. So wash your hands, isolate. Public meetings may not be the best idea, and that is a fact. And look what's happening in Europe, what's happening across. It's not just in China, but it's in Korea, it's in Italy, it's in South America. Seattle just had its first person die of it. So, good health to everyone, please.
So we actually have 4 more people who've requested to speak, and we have three speakers. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Dr. Jason Rampton speak right now, and as while you come up and get the microphone, I want to also say Tim Benfield, thank you. Raise your hand over there on the burgundy. You're amazing at the Chugiak Fire Department, and you're helping with our disaster plan, and we super appreciate you. So, Dr. Rampton?
Thank you, Laura. We want you guys to know that we love you. Yeah. Everything you're doing down there in Juneau, it's a tough battle. piggyback on what Matt said on his abortion issue. Yeah, I never heard him quite so articulate. He did a good job up here, but I'm just amazed that this keeps going on and on. I know all about Dave Eastman. I've met him before. I've talked with him. And I know the issues that exist there. But if there is a way that we could sift through that and resurrect that and take out the bad stuff, reintroduce that and bring it forward, I think it would be a tremendous feather in our cap for our legislature to do that. I think that would be the best thing that we could do. So I agree with Matt on that. We haven't coordinated at all. I just thought that was a very good comment. Second item is on Medicaid expansion. It's just banging, it comes back alive. I've worked out in the bush for many times. I've gone out there to do service. I'm a dentist. I go out and work in the dental clinics out there for a week or 2 weeks at a time. And this Medicaid expansion thing is just mind-boggling to me. I just can't wrap my brain around it. How on earth can we have 1 out of 3 people in this state that are dependent upon Medicaid? It's like I'm an old farm boy, and we had hay in our farm. We had a hay wagon. We had to pull that hay wagon around. I'm getting the red light. I got to sit down. But it's like we're trying to pull a hay wagon, and there's more people on the wagon than there are pulling the wagon. You know, I just have reminiscing of my days as a farmer, and I think we just can't keep pulling more and more and more people on this wagon. We've got to keep some of them off somehow. So, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Randy, for everything you do. You're salt and light. We really appreciate you. You're just amazing individual, one of our heroes in the community, so thank you. Kevin McCabe, did you want to say anything? No? Okay, well, thank you. I know you're running for office. I want to see if Tom Roth is here. For some reason, I cannot see him. Is Tom? Oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. Okay, we're going to let Tom Roth come up and give us an update. Amazing individual in our community. He has just a brilliant background with the military. What you're doing at our Anchorage School District as the Chief Operating Officer. So you want to take this mic, maybe that one. He's going to give us an update. Now we've got 3 more people that want to speak, but I promised him at 1 o'clock.
So can folks hear me okay? Yes. So my name is Tom Roth. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. Thanks for the very kind introduction. Just a couple of very brief topics for those that are tracking. Next week is the last week prior to spring break. Wednesday will be the last day for kids. So you may have read, may have heard that Dr. Bishop made the decision last night to cancel any school-sponsored trips overseas due to concerns about the spread of COVID-19. So that's a matter. There have been some questions, and Senator Reinbold asked. So in terms of preparations, at the district, and I think folks here can very, very easily understand, it's a very fluid situation. Just know that we are very much tied in with the Anchorage Department of Health and the State Department of Health and Social Services. So we are as current as anybody on the spread of this virus. In terms of preparation, again, it's all speculative what could happen. But I would tell you from my perspective, if we ever get to a situation where we think that the conditions are unsafe, for those that know Dr. Bishop, she does not stray away from making hard decisions. She will make a hard decision. So whatever happens, and we understand the significance if she has to do any type of decision with regards to school closure. It's a very significant impact on the community. We understand it. So if we get to that point, to be sure, my job as a chief operating officer is to make sure that we make sure our schools are as clean and safe, as sanitary as we can possibly be. And we will do that. Same with our buses. So that's where we are. We don't know exactly if we had to what would happen, but we understand we have a responsibility to the community to try to educate kids if schools are closed, and we are working the details of that now. So that's that. Real quick on construction, just to give you a quick update. So we do have a bond proposition out. It is for $82.8 million. It's a 2-year bond if it passes. A lot of the school construction on that bond is specific to earthquake repairs. A lot of those earthquake repairs are here in this area because a lot of schools experience significant damage. So that's where we are on that. Some major things to highlight. Grady Middle School is on that bond, as well as Eagle River Elementary School. Eagle River Elementary, we're definitely going to start working on that school this summer. Grady really kind of depends on where the bond ends up. But we are planning to certainly start repairs of Eagle River to bring that school here locally at Chugiak High School. We are finishing up on some security work. We're going to fix this track this summer. It's got some issues. The board did authorize funding. We're going to move forward on that project. We're also replacing the roof in Homestead. That starts this summer. So a lot of repair activity going on here in the Eagle River Chugiak area, and I want to thank the community for your continued support. So, Senator, with your permission, I'm happy to pause and answer any questions that anybody might have.
We have time for 2 questions regarding the schools.
Sir.
I've heard some individuals concerned that if the school doesn't do anything, that Tilton takes back the land.
So the question is, and this is regards to greening.
Right.
So the question is, if the district were not to do anything with greening, that Eklutna would recover the land. So we do have an agreement with Eklutna. The school belongs to the city. We manage it, but the land that it resides on actually belongs to Eklutna. Same with Eagle River Elementary School. So that is a long-standing, years-out agreement. If we were to make a decision to not retain greening, then we could revert that property back to Eklutna. But that's not an automatic thing. If that answers your question.
And we only pay $10, right?
About $10 a year is what we pay for that. And I would tell you, Eklutna, not to put a big plug in, they are great partners, and they are very much involved in the immediate recovery after the earthquake. My goodness, talk about dropping everything and helping us put our kids back into school.
I just had a question about the Chugiak pool. I know they've been having some maintenance issues with that.
If it's pool specific, just so folks know, the school district, we don't own the pools. They are actually owned and managed by the municipality. So if it's a building thing, and this would apply, if it's a building thing, yeah, we fix that. If it's a separate building that the pool's in, like service, Bartlett, then the community has ownership of that. But pool specific, it's a city matter. But if you need some help, I'd be happy to help you run that one down.
Matt?
Just a quick question. My understanding is that if they were to tear down Green and rebuild it, it'd be like $76 million. And to fix it, $43 million. In my business mind, I'm trying to figure out how you guys would justify remodeling it when it doesn't even put it up to code. And instead of tearing it down and spending the extra $30 million and having a brand new building you can actually extend onto and make it larger down the road if we need to. I'm just curious how you guys think about that.
Okay, so with regards to Gurney, but I will have to disagree with you. We are not going to repair that building. It will absolutely be a cost. So the issue with greening, when we had the earthquake, we didn't know exactly what was going on underneath the ground. So we wanted to make sure first that greening was a feasible repair. And as part of that, we looked at you know, what would be the other options? One of which would be to rubble the building and replace it. The cost estimate that we received back to replace greening in its entirety is about $76 million. Again, that's an estimate. To repair it, and the repairs we're talking about right now on the bond, it's $39.3 million. And that really has got three tiers. It's about $10 million just to fix the damages, to make that school safe to occupy and to serve students. It's about another $12 million to bring it up to what we call damage control division, to improve the seismic performance of greening. So in the next earthquake, we won't have the same issues that we have in the building. And then the last bit of money that brings it up to about $39 million, that's to do things in greening. You know, for those who know, greening built in the early 1980s, it's basically original construction. And that school has been on and off our 6-year capital improvement plan for years, as long as I can remember. So there are things that just need to happen to make greening better, safer. Anybody who's been in the parking lot during drop-off or pickup, probably one of the least safe places to be in the city of Anchorage. We want to fix that. We want to separate bus traffic from P&B traffic. That's an example. So that amount, that estimate right now is at 39.3. I think that number is going to drop as we get a more refined number from our architects.
I'll build it for $50 million if you want.
All right.
Julie Blackley.
So,
I know.
I'm just curious, being a business person as well, that I'm not quite sure that I understand why the school district even wants to repair a building when there are perfectly adequate buildings that can be used by shifting the students in the grades. And we're not being listened to. The community of Eagle River.
The discussion about merging the two high schools.
Yes. So the community of Eagle River does not feel like the school district is listening to us. And the students have also said that they have not been asked. Most of the students at both high schools would prefer to be combined. I mean, these beautiful women are working night and day to cut our budgets. And in all of these other programs, when we want to spend $80 million on another school in Eagle River that really doesn't even need to be built, I don't understand.
So, no, and it's a good question. We are listening. We've had many opportunities. In fact, I was out here a couple months ago. I've been in Eagle River for many years. We were out in Mirror Lake. Anybody participate in that event?
I was there.
Yeah. So you know, we are very much engaged with the community. But I would tell you, I mean, you know, I had kids who graduated from this school, from Eagle River High School. I mean, I've got a daughter at Mirror Lake. She could pick this school or Eagle River High School. What a great choice to have, right? Not a bad place to be. So we are really kind of following what is the city's land use plan 2040. There is a comprehensive land use plan for Chugiak Eagle River, dates back to 2006. And we all know, if you look at where are the areas for future urban growth, it's here between North Eagle River all the way up to Peters Creek. And the long-range planners have told us this area needs 2 high schools and 2 middle schools. So, I mean, and we know that the growth has certainly been a lot slower than was projected. We know that. But I would just submit to you, I mean, if you abandon greening, and we have as a community, great investment in greening. If you abandon greening, if the district were to do that, you're not getting it back. That's gone. So it'd be very harder to recover 15, 20 years down the road than it is to fix it. And the city of Anchorage right now, you know, is lining up to help this community fix that broken school.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Ron for time and Chief Operating Officer of Anchorage School District. We really appreciate you. Always make yourself available. You're working hard, and we really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to put a quick plug in. Our next town hall is going to be March 21st from 2 to 4 at Chugiak. 1:30 to 3:30 at Chugiak High School, and Senator Hughes and Representative Tilton, Chugiak Senior Center, yes, and Senator Hughes and will be with regards to that. And,
Bang it.
What we're going to do next is we're going to have three people, the last three people that want to speak, we're going to have them speak. Representative Jackson, if she's still on the line, is going to respond to Pat Martin. I know he's not in the district, but you're on the list, but she's been asking to speak and respond in regards to the anti-abortion, pro-life movement. So if we can get her on the line somehow, that would be great. And then we're going to have Jim Amundsen with the Chief Highway Design, and then Cynthia Marcilak, who's helping us with the disaster plan. She will be speaking, and then we'll each be doing our closing comments of 1 minute, and then making one final announcement with the next, Dave, you're on there. You're on the list, and so is Jamie Allen, but we need to do it in the order of people that checked in. So, we're gonna go ahead and Representative Tilton is not talking, so she's gonna go ahead and call the last few names.
Okay. So next up will be Jamie Allen.
I'll go without the mic, so I'll try to use that old Army sergeant voice. So I'm running for the municipality for Assemblywoman for Chugiak and Eagle River. I'm conservative, and what I wanted to encourage all of you to do is please get out and vote. So they're going to be sending out on March 18th the mail-out ballots, and I believe on the 7th of April you can actually take your ballot, go in person. I encourage you because the ballot, I'm told, is very thick, that it actually might take 2 stamps. We have a lot on the municipality of what we need to vote on. They have an ordinance about being able to smoke marijuana in public. We also have something about Proposition 13 about the alcohol tax and our school board. There's many others. I just want to make a quick announcement just to get out there and vote when you're conservative. Okay. Thank you. And thanks, Lincoln, for all you do.
Except it's at large.
So you ladies gave me a lot to work with in response to Mr. Hickey here. And I want to propose a kind of a hypothetical. I'm going to go as quick as I can. So just imagine that a young mother decides that she doesn't want to keep her children anymore. They're 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. What happens? It doesn't matter. She doesn't want to keep her children anymore. So she thinks about it. She finds out that she can go buy some poison down the street. So she premeditates this. She goes, she buys the poison. She brings it home. She poisons her children. And of course, she's going to be charged with murdering her children. What is it that established that murder charge? Was it the age of her children? Was it the method of killing her children? Was it her financial, her economic situation? Was it her marital status? No, it's the fact that the law said that if you kill your children, it's murder. Why would we have a statute that says that it's murder for a 2-year-old, but it's not murder for a baby that's 6 months old, still in its mother's womb? That doesn't make rational sense. When we think about the abortion statutes, we've got to understand that life begins at conception. And if we pursue statutes that bring us to an end other than life begins at conception, and any premeditated killing of that innocent life is murder, then we've gone the wrong way. We're going the wrong path. We have a serious concern about this new bill, HB 302, a heartbeat bill. Mr. Hickey spoke about this a little bit. We've got to understand when we look at these bills that they're very, very, very unjust. If you're going to say that a baby that's 5 weeks old and his heartbeat cannot be detected, will not be protected, but a baby that's 6 weeks old and his heartbeat can be detected, and we will protect him, we have a serious problem with how we value life. Serious problem. That is not a just law for us to pursue. It's also very, very, very damaging and damning. I never even thought about the idea that Planned Parenthood's out fundraising on things like this. But he's right. But more than that, you got to understand what Roe versus Wade says. I have copies of Roe versus Wade here for you if you want to get them. Do you guys want them? I'll give them to you. Roe versus Wade says that no state can regulate in any way, shape, or form the abortion procedure during the first trimester. The heartbeat bills address the first trimester. So you're going to fight for and pass a bill, sign it into law, and have it overturned on the very basic, super simple premise that Roe v. Wade prohibits regulating abortion during the first trimester. That is legislative irresponsibly, to put it kindly. And I'll wrap up real quick. Please forgive me for taking more time than I should. A quick history. In 1997, there was a case, it's called Valley Hospital versus Matsu Coalition for Choice. Y'all should know this one. This is what Senator Hughes was referring to when the judiciary decided that they were going to use our constitutional right to privacy to create a constitutional right to abortion. You got the half right, Senator Hughes. What they did is they said, we have a duty to develop additional constitutional rights and privileges, and abortion is a constitutional right. That's an exact quote. Then they used our constitutional... Right, I'll wrap it up. Then they used our constitutional right to privacy to protect that newly written constitutional right to abortion. If we're going to understand what we're talking about with our judiciary, they don't have the right, the authority, or the power to make abortion a constitutional right. But we have been submitting ourselves to that since 1997. If we want to end abortion, whether we take a principled, all-the-way abolitionist approach, or we want to take a principled, incremental approach, we must recognize that life begins at conception, and we must recognize that the courts have violated the Constitution, and we have been submitting to that ever since.
Okay,
yes,
we got it. Thank you, Ms. Okay, we're going to, with Representative Jackson on here, we have her on speaker, she wanted to respond. Representative Jackson, thank you for listening in today and being with your dear mother. You're going to go ahead and respond and go ahead. Representative Jackson. Go ahead, you're waiting. Sorry.
Okay, so for one, when you get started, that I am not there with you all, but I am there with you all. My mother is in ICU and will be going into hospice. But a few things. I will start. HB 178. I sit on test committee. There are 7 committee members, myself and Representative Lance Pruitt. If 178 goes to committee, it will be voted down. So it dies. We lose it. So if bills that we can get with 23 House representatives and 11 senators, we can take that bill in and get it started. In 2020, make sure you send the right people, right, get it, into the legislature where they then can pick this up. I want to say I am talking to you as your representative for District 13. I am not campaigning. My staff, Juneau, is in the room. Juneau, could you wave to everybody, please? If you have any questions, concerns, please let her know. For Mr. Sam and Elijah, I listened to you on human trafficking. Thank you for the invitation. I would love to take you up on that.
I'm here to tell you that Representative Jackson is absolutely fantastic to work with. She's a lot of fun. She's full of fire. She sticks to her convictions, and yet she's very well loved down there. So we have an excellent representative in Representative Jackson. I'm just thrilled that she was listening to all of you, as you can tell, and she will be here at the March 21st meeting. We've got 2 more people here, and then we have some excellent information following.
The next would be Kelsey Gerke.
So thank you for coming today. I'm not using the microphone, I'm using my teacher's voice. First, 2 things. One, I would really like to see as a private voter who's been in this district for 35 years to have the BSA adjusted for inflation. It hasn't been touched since 2017. There's been increased costs, and so I feel like even if there was a bill requiring that the BSA be adjusted biannually, something to ensure that funding for education in our state matches the cost of that education. Secondly, I have a class of students not represented today who's going to be focusing their project at the assembly. They're going to be testifying before the assembly on March 24th, but their issue is about minors in possession of vaping items. And right now, the Anchorage Assembly has sent the state a request to adjust policy at the state level to, increase the age to 21 to, meet national requirements, but also to remove the minor possession charge. So right now, if a kid is caught with vaping products under city law, they are not cited, meaning that they're trying to go after who's selling them or giving them the products. And that means that you have a law with a consequence. So even if it's not a possession charge, there is still nothing in there that requires that, or says that APD officers can confiscate the items. So if a police officer is not going to cite them, then they can't legally take away the illegal items that they have. So just so you are aware that that's coming up, and your support, any kind of support or response would be really well received.
Thank you. Next, our final person on the list today is Dave Donley.
Thank you for coming home. Really good to see you guys. You got a great delegation out here. I'm Dave Donley. I'm on the Anchorage School Board. As you know, the school board members are elected citywide, so you're all my constituents who live in Anchorage, or this city, the municipality of Anchorage area. Before I was the father of twins in 6th grade and on the school board, I was a legislator and served with, and my campaign has been endorsed by former Senator Fred Dyson and former Senator Stoltze sitting over here, and also former Senator Randy Phillips. So I worked with all those folks very carefully and closely on your interests when I was representing from Midtown Anchorage in the state senate. But I have an idea, and it deals with funding. And the lady who just testified talked about the BSA. That's the basic student amount in the school funding formula for the state. And the funding formula is not fair to Anchorage right now. And that's because the area cost, the district cost differential, hasn't been updated over 15 years. There's estimates that we just appropriately updated that area cost differential. Anchorage can get up to an additional $30 million for our schools without an increase to the basic student allocation and without the state having to spend more money. It would just be a fair reallocation of the resources that are currently distributed. It's unfair to Anchorage that particular element of the formula hasn't been updated. It would only cost about $150,000. Dick Traney as Assembly Chair and myself, we got the city to put up the money, but because the Department of Education wouldn't support asking for the study, the university economic research people wouldn't do the study because they didn't want it to be just from one community. They felt people might think it was biased. So we need the legislature to step up and get a study done. When the finalists that got together back in '96 and wrote the current funding formula, we never envisioned we'd go more than 10 years without an update to that district cost differential. So we really need that for our community. Thank you.
So Dave Donley, thank you. I want to just put a little little plug-in here for him. He's also the Deputy Commissioner for Department of Administration and absolutely fantastic to work with on the state. And also, I've been working with him about 10 years to expose the dangers lurking in Common Core, and he understands some of the dangers curriculum that are, it's just not equipping our children like it should, like BAM. And so I just really wanted to say thank you for your persistence. It's just been an absolute privilege to work with you. Probably the number one call I would probably guess for all of our offices is about roads. And so we are so privileged to have Jim, do you want to come on up? Jim Amundsen. I call the DOT more than any other agency over and over again, early in the morning, late at night, and they are fantastic to work with. So Jim is going to give us an update on Artillery Road, Glen Highway, and other key projects in DOT.
Thank you very much for having me. For those of you that missed it, my name is Jim Amundsen, Amundsen. Yes, you can find that on the email. Catch me afterward, I'll give you a business card. I'm the Chief of Highway Design, and I am responsible for the highways and roads in this area. It is my fault if they do not meet your expectations. I would like to hear how they're not, and we will see what we can do to improve that. I will not promise a perfect solution, because unfortunately perfect solutions take way more money than we have. And most of the money I get to use comes from the feds, which have more strings than a plate of spaghetti. Having said all of that, I'm going to start by providing a warning to everybody in this room. This summer, travel up and down the Glen Highway is not going to be a fun event. We have looked hard for the last couple of years to look for ways to minimize this, but the short version is it's still going to be painful. Most of you have already been past and have watched the piers rising up out of Eagle River Valley as we get the piers in place for the bridge to put a new bridge southbound on the Glen Highway. The only way to actually finish building the embankment to provide the access to that bridge is going to require us to close the southbound lanes of the Glen Highway. And there isn't any bypass that's got the capacity to carry all those cars. What we will be doing is building a bypass or a crossover so that all of the southbound traffic is going to be moving onto the northbound lanes and sharing the northbound lanes, 2 lanes north, 2 lanes south, across that nice new bridge that we put up just a year or 2 ago. There's going to be a concrete barrier in between, but you're going to have traffic on 2 very narrow lanes, or actually there'll be 12-foot lanes, but there won't be a lot of extra shoulder beyond that, with 2 lanes going south, 2 lanes going north, with a crossover that lets you go across at about 45 miles an hour, and then we'll take you back across just before the Highland Road on-ramps. But you can imagine stuffing 3 lanes of traffic onto a 2-lane capacity and then back out the other way is not going to be a pleasant experience. We know that. It's the best option we've been able to come up with. One of the things that we have done is delay earthquake repair to some of the work over on the Biggs Bridge area. Well, for those of you that saw the water geyser that when the big water line erupted in the ped tunnel underneath the Biggs Bridge Road over there on Highland Road, we're delaying that until the following summer so we don't also close down the Biggs Bridge right in the middle of this mess that we're going to be creating on the Glen Highway. So we are planning and trying to keep as much capacity as we can, but nonetheless, we know going into this that it's going to be very painful, and we're going to need all of your cooperation and most importantly, your patience for what's coming this summer. That's going to start on the 20th of April. We're going to have a large informational campaign to get the word out to everybody starting in about a week. So the next 2 months, you're going to see a whole bunch of discussion. We've already come up with a name for it. It's going to be Carzilla. We figured we might as well get a laugh out of it because otherwise it's just going to be painful. But nonetheless, we're really going to need everybody to help us and everybody to have patience. We're going to have a lot of public information explaining exactly what's happening and when. But nonetheless, we know it's going to hurt. We just don't have a better way to do it. We just don't have any other places to put the traffic. I'll handle questions towards the end, but otherwise, the other thing that's going to go hand in hand with that, for about a month in April, May, early June timeframe, we're also going to be closing the Artillery Road Bridge, so that you're not going to be able to get across at Artillery. That's not directly tied to building the new road. It's tied to, we still need to finish repairing the bridge where the truck ran into it a couple of years ago. We're going to be coming in, closing the road long enough to put the new girder on, and as soon as we can get that new girder in place, we'll then open that back up for traffic. But nonetheless, all of that's happening at one time. We figure the traffic is already going to be completely discombobulated, so we might as well make it all at one time so we don't do it twice. And I can happily wait after this for anybody that has questions about the other work we're going to have happening over the course of this summer. But to put it bluntly, that is the 800-pound gorilla for this summer that we're going to have to deal with, and every single person in this room is going to have to be putting up with that for most of the summer, and I'm sorry. With that, I will go ahead and take any questions that anybody has, and I'll be here afterwards, happily answer questions. I'll give you my business card. I'm here to fix things for you. I work for everybody in this room, and I take that very seriously.
One question.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, during the time that the traffic is diverted to the 2 lanes in either way, will you be having your crews running around the clock to get it done? The opportunity costs for commuters are huge. So it's actually cheaper if, to the extent that you can, you work around the clock.
With respect, this is a contract job, and I can't make the contractors work 24/7.
So you didn't write it in there?
We have incentive for them to get done sooner than later, and that's about the only way I can control what they do and don't do. There are incentives built into the contract to award them and reward them and motivate them to work as much as they can. But at a certain point, the size of a lot of the crews in this area are limited to how many hours a day they can go without violating the snot out of the various OSHA rules.
And we appreciate you being sensitive to that.
Can you put in a coffee stand by chance in that line there?
Actually, I was voting for us handing out T-shirts and bumper stickers as you come out the south end of it, but unfortunately, I got outvoted. That was one of my recommendations. And I'll go ahead and wait and talk to anybody else that has a question.
I paid for the repairs.
Jim does work very, very hard, and we really want to thank you for being here. I'm going to put it on record again. Jim, I want you to hear me out. The Artillery Road is a mess. I think it's the most dangerous intersection in the state of Alaska. I think I've called you guys at least a dozen times and written a dozen emails and had you guys look at it over and over again. I had a good friend, Mr. Carlos, die at that intersection. He was the best trail builder in the state, and I think Joe Carlos loved that man, and I tell you, I think that is dangerous, and I'm going to be watching that very carefully, and hopefully you guys will make some improvements, and I even think one of them should be one way so that there's not that 4-way with on-ramps, off-ramps, merges, lights. I'm serious. I'm watching you guys closely. I'm never going to let you hook till that intersection safer. But we really want to say thank you. Roads are definitely the #1 issue that I get phone calls on in the office, and you guys have been amazing with Mike Lessman too, and I think I speak for all of us, and Shelley was the chair of transportation and was doing a great job. Next we're going to go, we have to be out of this room at 2 o'clock, so we need to get Cynthia C-Slap, and the reason why we have Cynthia here today is we have no ER and a population of almost 40,000 people. We've been fighting, this is the 6th year that I can tell you that I've been fighting for an emergency room for our community, and at least Providence is in a step in the right direction. But this, because the disaster plan for our area is the #1 issue right now, we really think that if the coronavirus or if our bridges shut down or something, we need to have medical care in our community. So with that, please help me welcome Cynthia C-Slap.
So isn't it true that the bed count, they have an actual hospital in Eagle River, that the bed count is taken up between Providence and Alaska Regional? We can't have a hospital here because of the bed count. Is that correct?
So I don't think I'm qualified to speak to that.
That is the case, but
I will also say that
okay. Yeah, so if we had our own municipality here, we'd be able to have our own bed count. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Is that a plug for Eagle Exit?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Ken McCarty.
True.
Were you at the Phoenix thing for the Crisis Now observation?
I apologize.
Were you in Phoenix for the Crisis Now observation program?
No, it's not.
Okay. So is there any, have any knowledge of that, of whether Providence is considering something like that in the Eagle River Chugiak area?
I apologize, I do not. I don't have information on that. However, I'm happy to do some research for you and get back to you on that. Like, give you my email address.
Okay, Cindy. Not Cindy, I apologize. It's on my. Cecil, thank you for being here. Thank you. We're really happy to have Providence in the area. We're still going to continue to fight for an emergency room here, and we are working with the commissioner on the certificate of need. So if anyone wants to write letters, please write us letters. The more letters we get, the better it is. And I've already told you guys how to get a hold of all of them. Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and do closing comments now, and we are going to start with Representative Merrick.
Thank you, Senator Reinbold. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate taking the time out of your schedule to come share your thoughts with us. It helps us do our job better, and I really try to collect as much information as I can before making an informed decision. So please contact our offices anytime. And I think moving forward, we really need to look at working together as a community and, not cutting each other down, working in a positive manner, because we want to keep good people in office, and our team here from the Chugiak Eagle River Valley delegation is very strong, and we want to continue that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to acknowledge my predecessor, Senator Stoltze. He's had big shoes to fill because he had my district formerly. He left a legacy, so thank you, Bill, for being here. I also want to say when I said District F was friends, family, fine folks, and farmers, I want to add fishermen to that. I got a text from somebody in the room on that. I want to mention a bill that's going to be up that's going to affect all of you. It's the motor fuel tax. It's being doubled. And there, I believe, votes for that happen on the Senate floor. Although it is somewhat of a broad-based tax, it's going to hit our area the most. And of course, I also represent up into Palmer and Mat-Su. So per capita, pay the most, and there would be no guarantee that would come back as regionally as it's collected. We also don't have a spending cap. Well, there is a spending cap in the Constitution that's way, way, way too high. There's been discussion of a statute spending cap, but the courts wouldn't uphold that. A future legislature could blow right through it. And actually, I understand that bill's kind of fizzled anyway. So I'm having trouble putting a burden on you all when we have not reined in spending appropriately. And one of the things that I introduced, which I do not expect it to get passed, is to start a conversation, and if we get the right people in, we could continue it in a future cycle. And it is it's modeled after what Texas did to keep control of their spending. It's called the Alaska Sunset Commission. It will require thorough objective audits. And the sunset component means that the legislature couldn't put it on a shelf. They'd actually have to take up the audit and review and decide how should this particular office, section, division, department, do we need to restructure it? Can it be more efficient? Should this particular program go away? Should this be combined? Do we really need that many staff, etc.? So I'm hoping that'll help us rein in the spending that's coming up. I want to say also that the crime that we worked on, and Senator Reinbold was really a champion with that, really made it aware, and we got it done last year, but there's still more work. And one of the things is our high rate of offenders coming out of jail and repeat offending. We've got to do what we can to encourage offenders to become ex-offenders, right? And the need for treatment and such. And so you're going to see some work on that. As I lost my judiciary chairmanship, all the work that I did get passed on, and I think it's going to move forward. I hope so. I do want to say it matters who is in certain chairmanships, because I was actually trying to do a human trafficking bill this summer. And I was not allowed to hire the former prosecutor that I wanted to work specifically on that bill. Thankfully, the Attorney General put his people to work on it. They put forward a bill, and I tell you, if Senator Shower would have been State Affairs Chair and I'd been Judiciary Chair, that bill would be on its way to the floor by now. It's only had one hearing. So I'm just saying, it matters who's in different seats. Lastly, I want to say I had the Read by 9, or the Proficient Reader by 3rd grade. That bill is now a combination of the governor and Senator Begich. There's some good parts of it, but I tell you, I was really disappointed in my colleagues when they refused to support an amendment that would have stopped social promotion of our kids. It would require kids to actually master things at each grade level. So that's something that we need to keep working at, because we're paying more than $1 billion for education, and students are walking across the stage with a diploma. And even the college-bound students, the bulk of them have to go back and take remedial courses at the university. And guess what remedial math is at the university? It's equal to 6th grade math. So these are kids that took geometry, algebra 1 and 2 in high school, and yet they have to go back and repeat 6th grade math. So we've got a problem. I'm hoping we can continue to work on that. And then lastly, regarding the very passionate, I really want to thank you to the dentist and to Mr. Hickey and to Pat, because I know we all share the same vision in the end. I just want to say, when we talk about being rational, it is not rational. It's not rational that it's murder to kill a baby 5 minutes after birth, but 5 minutes before birth, that it would be okay to abort that baby and kill that baby. It's not rational. But what we need right now is a rational approach, and HB 178 and making it a crime, it needs to be a crime. But it's going to get knocked down. So if we're going to be rational, we have to make sure the judges aren't ruling the day on this. And so that's why SJR 13. And so I plead with you, consider supporting it. This is something we potentially actually can get through. We have already had hearings on it. I have been told when it moves to the next committee, we will have hearings on it. We are working to get the votes actually to get it to pass. So I know I'm talking way too long, but yeah, thank you all for coming on a Saturday, and stay in touch. My business card's out on the table. Senator Hughes, we wanted, Senator Stoltze, do you want 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it's just Bill Stoltze. I got a promotion a couple years ago. I get to live here year-round. Thank you for having this in my alma mater right in my neighborhood. Lastly, I have Tilton and Shelley Hughes occupations that I used to have, and I'm in that very enviable position of saying, boy, I couldn't be better represented. And that's very, I'm very satisfied. Consider going back, because they're doing such a great job. They have represented the values of this community. Now, just one last thought. This guy, Dave Donley, is one of the smartest guys I have ever worked with. He knows more than a lot of members of the school board. He knows a lot of administration. He's forgotten more than they know. So, I couldn't do better than a guy like this. He knows he cares about the issues and he cares about the quality.
I just want to say once again, thank you so much for being here, and thank our Senator Reinbold for putting this together. She did the lion's share of getting this all put together for us, and I really appreciate her for taking her time. Let's give her a round of applause. And it's an amazing staff that take time out of their day to be here. I just really, and all the staff, my staff is actually back in Juneau, and I do want to say how much I appreciate them as well. The budget will be on the floor on Monday, and amendments to that budget are due on Monday, so my staff is helping our team to make sure that we get those budget amendments put together, because I am here and we need people to help guide them with those kinds of things. The budget that's going to hit the floor does not have a dividend in it. silence, right? There will be an amendment that will come forward to put a dividend into the budget per the historical calculation that is in the law. So I just want you all to be aware of that. I think it's important that you all know what that section does read. Although the dividend is, the budget is about $9.6 million over what the governor put forward in his flat budget. So it did not increase a lot, but there are still some things in there that need to be taken a look at. So on the line of the budget, and since I'm on the finance committee, that's kind of what I speak about the most. There was a gentleman who talked about a spending limit here today, and I want to say that a spending limit is something that we need, but it needs to be constitutional, because a statutory spending limit, as we all know, we haven't followed the statute on the dividend, so it'd be pretty easy to blow through a statutory spending limit. We already have a constitutional spending limit. That spending limit just needs to be updated, and it needs to go. And it would go before the people, and the people would have the ability to vote on that. So it's something that I'm very, very passionate about, and I've been working with the colleagues in Juneau to try to make sure that we can even have that conversation. At this point, we haven't had that conversation, and I think it's a really important conversation that needs to be had. I really appreciate the robust conversation that we had here today on several issues and topics. The anti-abortion issue is very important, that we do need to work towards interstate. There's a lot of maybe legislative mumbo jumbo that gets in the way, and it's something that I do hope that we can work forward to come together and come up with some solutions, and I'm happy to be a part of that conversation. Also the roads, just always an issue, and I thank Mr. Amundsen for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Lora because there's not a lot of time.
Thank you very much. I will say we have an outstanding Chugiak Eagle River delegation. We all really enjoy working together. We're hardworking. We're women of conviction, and I will tell you that it is tough working situation both in the House and the Senate now. I wish I could end on a really positive note, but I'm going to be real with you right now. I'm going to tell you that the Republicans that are moderate or even left have partnered with the Democrats, both in the House and the Senate. And I will tell you, it is sometimes a hostile work environment down there. The conservative voice, they're trying to silence, and we're doing everything we can, getting on Facebook, writing op-eds, doing passionate speeches on the floor. But what you all have that a lot of other places don't have is elected officials with integrity, that regardless of the difficulties that we are facing, we are standing on the platform that we were elected on and the promises that we made to the people and the principles. So I will tell you that it is tough down there because there are unfair hiring practices going on. For example, we're told we can hire staff and then leadership is denying them. So we're having to work overtime and our staff is having to burn the oil at both ends with us by our side. There's abuse of power going on there down in Juneau. We had an organization, we organized, and we were all made agreements. Sadly, they've lost those organizing paperwork, so they've lost them. Agreements that we have made, they have violated over and over again. I could literally talk a half an hour on how tough it is and what's really going on. They have asked us to sign a binding, for the first time since I've been down there, signed papers to bind our votes, and we are refusing to sign. So let me tell you, it is really difficult because it's easier to go along to get along with the massive machine, the political machine that's going on down in Juneau. We are refusing because our principles are more important to us. I will tell you that I'm going to just give you 6 quick pieces of legislation that I'm working on at a very high level, implementing Janus. Janus' decision is a Supreme Court decision. It protects the constitutional rights of our public employees. I'm very passionate about that. Right now we're collecting union dues and we're collecting campaign donations for unions. And Janus it was a decision by the Supreme Court to protect the rights of our public employees that are being violated on many levels. So anyway, that is a big, heavy lift. It has definitely caused fireworks down in Juneau. I'm working on a victims' rights bill, and I will tell you, it was an honor to work with Senator Hughes on judiciary. I was the vice chair, she was the chair. We had a kick-butt committee, and I really miss her as chairman, and I miss being the vice chair. I'm still serving on that committee, and this is a bill that really puts victims in the center. I'm trying to also get rid of the Criminal Justice Commission, the one that brought us forth, SB 91, so that's another bill. And I doubt the Rules Chairman, Mr. Cockhill, who took over Judiciary, and he's Rules Chairman, he's so busy, and he also took one of Shelley Hughes' staff, which I just found outrageous. But anyway, a lot of security stuff is going on down there, and we were told if we speak out, then we're going to have more consequences. So I'll tell you, it takes a lot of bravery to talk to you guys. It takes a lot of bravery to do these op-eds. I do a Reinbold report 5 minutes a week just on a high level, but know that there's consequences sometimes when you speak out. We refuse to have our First Amendment rights violated. I also have a bill, back in 2014, there was a prohibition in statute for implementing the Common Core using any state funds. That is being violated by the Anchorage School District and many others. This bill will put a fine associated with anybody using state funds to implement Common Core. I also have one to standardize financial charts, because you will see before subcommittees and committees, I serve on 4 subcommittees on finance. You would be amazed at some of the charts that we get, and they just don't line up. So that's something that I've been trying to do for years. But I will tell you that we have a town hall meeting, and it is going to be, Shelley, do you mind announcing it? Saturday, March 21st, Chugiak Senior Center, 1:30 to 3:30. And Representative Tilton and Senator Hughes are taking the lead. We all 5 are going to try to be there. And we also just wanted to say, Representative Jackson, if you're still listening, we're wishing you the best. And I want to thank each and every one of you, we all do, for being here, for caring, because you're making the difference. We represent you. It's a republic form of government, and you, the people, are in charge. So thank you very much.
So when's the governor's thing? Monday?
Monday, 6 o'clock.
Are you going to change our meeting?
All right, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to share. Facebook squeals on you if you don't share. This was the town hall today with our representatives and senators from the Juneau. We talked different discussions on different bills and the feelings of the community at large that they represent. Going back to Juneau and hopefully being able to get something done in a caucus-controlled house where basically you have 2 people in the Senate that are telling the other 18 how they're going to vote and what they're going to do. And then you have the other House, which has basically 4 members there that are in full control of everything. If you look at them both totally, there's 4 in the Senate and 6 in the House that are controlling every member in there that has signed in on the caucus to get what they want in their agenda in play. Again, don't forget to share. Thanks for tuning in today. You guys all have yourself a wonderful Saturday, and get out and Ferrande.